Hi, it's time for bed, and I know you're excited to hear a story before bed. And so I've got a really interesting one for you tonight. It's called The Burglar. All right, here we go. I'll show you the pictures when they come along. Muriel came bounding in from school, bubbling over with excitement. "Oh, Mama," she cried. "Oh, Mama, what do you think? Why, almost all the girls in my class are going to Jenny's party on Thursday night." "Are they?" said Mama, trying hard to be interested, though she was feeling very tired. "That will be nice." "But that's not all," said Muriel. "They almost all told me that they are going to have the loveliest new dresses, silk and crepe, and pretty things like that." "They must be happy then," said Mama. "Yes, but Mama, I can't go in my old dress." "It's not very old," said Mama. "Why, you had it new for your birthday. Anyhow, dear, I don't think I could possibly finish another by Thursday." Muriel did not notice the look of utter weariness that passed over Mama's face at the very thought of taking on another job just now. "Mama," she cried, "you don't mean to say that I cannot have a new dress for Thursday? Why, I've got to have it. I must have it. If I could go to Jenny's party without it, whatever would they think of me? All the other girls with new frocks on, and me in that old cotton thing. Of course I must have it." The bright, happy look that was on Muriel's face as she had bounded into the living room faded away, and in its place was an ugly scowl. The more she thought about her fancied grievance, the darker the scowl became. Gradually she worked herself up into a thoroughly bad temper. "I must have my new frock," she cried, stamping her foot on the floor. "Now come," said Mama sternly. "It is not becoming for a little girl to behave like this. I don't think you would do it if Jenny were here." "I wouldn't care if anybody were here," cried Muriel wildly, tears running down her cheeks. "Now, Muriel," said Mama, "this is very foolish of you. You must be overtired. Please go to your bedroom. I will bring you your supper later." Muriel stormed out of the room and up the stairs. Some time later, Mama went up with a very plain supper. She did not say much, only stopping long enough to put little Jimmy to bed. Jimmy did not bother his head about the state of affairs, though he thought it was strange that Muriel should be going to bed at such an early hour. Let me show you this picture here. Okay. An hour passed. Muriel tried to sleep, but could not. Conscience was keeping her awake. She knew she would be sorry for her very naughty conduct, but something kept her from saying so. She rolled and tossed upon her bed. Another hour passed, then another. At last she dropped into a troubled sleep. It seemed hardly a moment before she was awakened by a small hand tugging at her nose. It was Jimmy. "Sis, sis," he was saying, "I'm frightened. Let me come into your bed." Muriel sat up. "What's the matter, Jimmy?" she said, lifting the shivering little chap in beside her. "Oh, didn't you hear it? The noise downstairs." Here's the picture. "No," said Muriel. "I was asleep. What sort of noise was it that you heard?" "Someone walking about," said Jimmy. Muriel listened. It was a dark night and very still. A cool breeze came in from the wide open window. The clock in the dining room struck 1, 2. "Why, it's 2 o'clock," said Muriel. "There can't be anybody about now." "But there was, just a little while ago," said Jimmy. "You should have heard." Suddenly Muriel heard, stood still, and she seemed to tingle all over. She too had heard the footsteps in the room beneath her. "Did you hear it then?" said Jimmy. "Yes," said Muriel. "I wonder." "Do you think it's a burglar?" asked Jimmy in a whisper. "It might be," said Muriel, not now very much frightened herself. "What shall we do?" asked Jimmy. Muriel did not know what to say. Her first thought was to dive under the bedclothes. Then she remembered how she had once told the girls in the school what she would do if a burglar ever came to her house. She thought for a moment. "There it is again," whispered Jimmy, pressing closer to his big sister. "Jimmy," said Muriel, "do you know, I'd really like to see a burglar, just once, so I could tell the girls at school." "Would you?" "I wouldn't," said Jimmy. "Will you come with me if I go down?" asked Muriel. "I'll look after you." Jimmy was doubtful, but at last he decided to go. Together they slipped out of bed. Ever so quietly they crept to the bedroom door and opened it. Creak went the hinges, so loud that the two nearly ran back to bed. But they held each other's hands a little more tightly and went toward the stairs. Creak went the top stair. They held their breath, waited a moment, and then went down a little further. Creak went the fifth stair. Okay, this is them creeping down the stairs. There we go. Again they waited, then on further. Creak, creak went the landing. "He'll hear us," whispered Jimmy. "Let's go back." "Wait a minute," whispered Muriel, pressing his little hand. "We're nearly there. See, there's a light under the dining room door. I must see what a burglar's like, for I may never have the chance again." "But won't we be hurt?" asked Jimmy. "We'll run too fast," said Muriel. They went down in the hall now. Slowly and ever so quietly they moved toward the door. It was slightly ajar. Muriel pushed it just a teeny-weeny bit, then a teeny-weeny bit more, and such a teeny-weeny bit more. It was opened, wider and wider, until at last Muriel thought she would put her head round just enough to see inside. Jimmy held her hand very tightly as she peered round the corner. "Muriel!" cried the voice, and a pair of scissors clattered on the floor. "Mamma!" cried Muriel. They looked at each other. "Mamma, what are you doing down here this time of night? It's nearly 2:30, and you look worn out. What's keeping you up?" "Just a little dressmaking," said Mamma. "Not my dress, surely," cried Muriel. "Oh, it is. Mamma, you shouldn't. I don't deserve it. You shouldn't have stayed up so long. You were so tired." She threw her arms around Mamma's neck. "I'm so, so sorry," she said, her tears falling fast. "Never mind," said Mamma. "The dress is nearly done now. Let us all go to bed." "But what is Jimmy doing down here?" "Muriel said I should see a burglar if I came downstairs, and now there isn't one," muttered Jimmy, disappointed. "Oh, I'm sorry," said Muriel, as they went upstairs together. "But Mamma's surely better than a burglar, isn't she?" "Suppose so," said Jimmy. And so Mother Love, forever patient, forever long-suffering and forgiving, triumphed again.